news conference. He says, we might have to keep moving it back because we keep finding stuff from the plane. So I'm standing here with this air tank now that hasn't been roped off yet. And I don't know if it was kicked down here or it's down. It's across all 12 lanes of the boulevard. It may have been hit by vehicles and ended up here. But they keep moving the scene back. They've closed the boulevard. It was not closed right after this when I was on scene. But this air tank is here, and I'll get a picture in so you can see it. And it's just shocking how much they keep finding. Now, it's dark out. It's been raining, and there's been smoke billowing all the time. I just walked 2 miles to get around everything safely to get to where they're going to have the media news conference, which is at a gas station across the 12 lanes of Boulevard. But they keep finding things, so they may move the media back before they start talking. So I'm going to head back over there. I'll get you a picture where this air tank is. It looks like Philly police are coming over just to secure that now. But what an awful scene this is. And still, I have not gotten any information on potential victims on the ground. This was a crowded mall. It was a packed Cotman Avenue waiting for the traffic light at the boulevard. And I know firsthand because I was in it moments before or moments after on both sides. So there's your update. I'm going to go back over the scene. I'll get right back to you. And we expect to hear from, I know Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel just arrived. We'll hear from police and we'll learn what they know at this early juncture still. As you hear sirens, fire department, ambulances leaving, and it's also a gruesome scene. I was warned at one point. Everybody was moving me back to be for our safety and other things. It's just awful scene, and the police and the fire department doesn't even know the extent of everything that happened just yet because Cotman Avenue is one of the busiest streets in Philadelphia, along with Roosevelt Boulevard, at the busiest time of day, evening rush hour on a Friday.
All right, Steve Keeley, get to safety, and as soon as you have more information, we will check back in with you. You are doing an awesome job out there.
And I was going to ask Steve about injuries. He obviously has no information on that, but I mean, objective one for first responders is to find anybody on the ground who needs medical attention. And I don't know if you can hear me, Steve, but have you seen any patients being loaded onto gurneys, people being scooped up by ambulance or police officers in need of medical attention, anything like that? Okay, I think he took off. It's very fluid for him.
Right.
We're trying to get him back on the phone when we do that, we can. But as you mentioned earlier, Dawn, Governor Josh Shapiro is the one who really helped shed some light on this plane, the occupants, the 6 people on board a medical flight. And the governor also saying that the plane crashed about 30 seconds after it took off, leading to this scene that we see here right near Roosevelt Mall in the parking lot, into stores, into homes, fire crews trying to put out those fires. And in these 2 live shots, the one on the right is live. I believe the one on the left is not. But there may very well still be fires burning as crews try to shut off gas lines that are underground that were disturbed by this plane that fell from the sky.
Right. This, if you're just joining us right now, this all happened shortly after 6 o'clock tonight. We're hearing that a Lear 55 with 6 people on board, 2 patients, or I should say 2 doctors, 2 pilots, a patient, and a family member on this plane that just took a nosedive into the street. We're told that Roosevelt Boulevard from Steve Keeley is currently closed. He's hearing from top police officials. He's been in the thick of this all night long. We're hearing that it is a gruesome scene. He's been warned it's just awful. We don't know the extent of any injuries on the ground just yet. He is waiting to hear more from police. They're setting up a command center. So we don't know the extent of any potential victims on the ground. But you know, as you look at this video, you can see the massive response. The video on the left showing the fire burning after this plane crashed into the ground. And I thought it was interesting, as Steve pointed out, Jason, that where he was at this gas station across 12 lanes of Cotman Avenue, that they found an air tank, an oxygen tank with jet rescue on it, presumably medical equipment that was on that plane that somehow ended up, whether it was hit by a car or that's, flying through the sky, landed in this gas station parking lot.
Yeah, and I think what is just blowing people away is just the idea of the angle that this plane came down. I mean, almost straight from the sky. And there are several other videos on social media as well that we will share with you when we can, but that just show different angles of just how this plane fell from the sky 30 seconds after takeoff, reportedly by the governor. And then the fireball so bright that even this camera shot on the left from the Ring doorbell and many others, just you lose sight of everything. That's how quickly and how bright it happened. The debris field, they haven't even been able to cordon it all off yet because Steve is walking around in what may be evidence. And you think about what the job the NTSB is going to have here, and they're already spread thin enough in the Potomac from a midair crash 2 days ago. And now they're going to have to respond to this scene in a very, very busy section of Philadelphia, maybe the busiest outside Center City and some other areas, but Northeast Philly and the Boulevard and Cottman. And now you're talking about tanks from a plane that just crashed. But again, objective one, priority one, how is everybody doing on the ground?
Right.
Some of the folks in their row homes, in their cars, in restaurants, in some of those
Right. This was rush
businesses.
hour. People were, it's a Friday night, it's rush hour. People were headed home from work. They might have been headed out for the evening. And this happened. And Fred Teesey was talking about could be potentially icing on the plane or whatever. So let's head over to Drew Anderson. Drew, you can talk a little bit about the weather conditions when this happened and potentially what the pilots were up against.
So here's what I'm doing. I've been piecing together all the data that's coming into our newsroom. So you guys were mentioning how the plane potentially crashed about 30 seconds off of takeoff. So I went to FlightAware and was looking up some of the information that Learjet we were talking about. And the estimates are it only got about a half a mile off the ground. So from that information, we wanted to see, okay, is it icy at that level up in the sky? Because it's pretty mild when you step outside right now. And ice, as it collects on wings, can change pretty much the way a plane is designed to fly, such that it can't maintain its altitude and it comes down because it's just can't handle that extra weight on the wings. From what I see from the weather data, as I was looking in the upper atmosphere, it is not icy right now a half a mile off the ground. You have to go about a mile or more off the ground before you're going to get temperatures below freezing. So from what I can see from the information coming in terms of the max height that the plane got versus what temperatures would be at that level, it does not look like ice is a factor that would have played a role in